So what I wanted to do was to go through and work through some ideas that I've got on the website. Sometimes it's best just to sit back and kind of explain the bigger picture. Rather than being so much into the nitty gritty of where the market's going this week. So what I wanted to focus on was really just some ideas for making money easily, for allowing the charts to help you progress through your trading. And so one of the big areas in the market that everybody seems to struggle with is the scan engine, and I want to make sure that doesn't turn you off immediately, because I think one of the big things that's changed in the scan engine is setting up some very simple commands to work through and make sure that first of all, you can manually run the scan. Second of all, you can run alerts to run the scan, which automatically get emailed to you. All of those things are very, very helpful. And then the third part of that process is that you don't have to start from zero. There's a whole bunch of stuff written, and I'm gonna this first piece of information or show that I'll put together here is all about finding what's out there, and then the second part is taking those pieces and turning them into something usable, and so that's what we want to focus on. So with that, let me get started. First of all, this is the ticker cloud, and I'm not sure if everybody's got this set up, but from the members page, you can literally go to this ticker cloud at any time. And the way this ticker cloud works is it takes all of the popular symbols, the top 200, and puts them on here. And the larger the symbol, the more active they are. So all of these ones over here in the VIX area, there's lots of people looking at that all the time. Marijuana and that kind of stuff is starting to do well again. It's been on hold for 9 months while everybody was all giddy about it. It's actually starting to improve, and that might be an area if you're interested in social phenomena stocks. That's probably the best way to describe that. A lot of the energy names are really starting to push higher. This morning, oil was above 51. And so, probably everybody will be jumping on the bandwagon about oil. I think that's not a problem. But the right answer is that we've probably got an entire 3 months coming up here where we get a good run in oil, and we want to be set up for that. So the big picture for looking at the markets in general is to just take this screen and see what's working. There's nothing, all of the gold stuff is here in the middle. These lab is biotech stocks. So here's Netflix and Apple. You'll always see those on this chart. But in general, this snapshot, this homepage, tells you probably 200 of the most interesting places in the market. So that's a great place to start. Just understanding what's in here and being aware of what's going on. So I actually have set up a bookmark that takes me straight to the ticker cloud, and that way I can look at it at any time. And so I think that's a pretty valuable resource, and one that you might want to employ is just having a ticker cloud always ready for you to jump in and just check out what's going on. And after a while, you start to recognize almost all the names in there. And the other thing that happens is right after that is you're going to realize what's new. And that's probably the most important component. So I have another tab set up for the StockCharts member page. And there's two different components here, and I want to make sure everybody's aware of it. But first of all, on this page on the left-hand side, we have the control center. And if you're a basic member, it'll say basic control center, an extra control center, or a pro control center. And, the difference is whatever, $20 a month or something. But the main point is if these are grayed out for you, it's your membership level that would change that. So the advanced scan and the technical alert workbench are extra and pro level, and then how many of those you have set up are based on which membership level you have. So just so you're aware of that. Now, this area, the Pro Control Center here, just has all of the links in one place. So we used to be sending you around the home page to check out different stuff. And now what we've done is we've just put them all systematically in one location. And so predefined scans are right at the bottom of this list. Predefined technical alerts. So you can come here at any time and just go in and see the predefined scans and predefined technical alerts. One of the important things, just so you're aware of, is data adjustments at the bottom here. If there's a dividends or a stock split or anything like that, you can go in here and check that. So if you have a chart that changed in price suddenly and you're wondering what's going on, you can go into this data adjustments area, and most of the time it's recorded in there. And so I would encourage you to do that. This is also the shortcut to get to the ticker cloud that I just showed you, but I quite frankly like to have the bookmark set up so that it's just a one hit. So as soon as I open a new tab, I can go straight to it. But in the StockCharts system, we've got predefined scans, predefined technical alerts, and we also have up at the top here the advanced scan and technical alert. The difference between all of those is the predefined scans, we're trying to help you see the market and do some scanning for you, just automatically go in and do those scans. So we're going to work through some of that. I think the second component of that, though, is the predefined alerts. And one of the reasons the predefined alerts are nice, and let's just click on that. So when you go in here, it talks a lot about just simple stuff setting up. And, you don't have to visit this all the time. This goes back 10 days already. But, energy sector bullish percent index crosses above 50. It hasn't been above 50 for like a year. So that's a pretty big statement. I think it was last December, actually, when it rolled over. So, 9 months or whatever, it was pretty major. But what you can see about all of these components in here, it gives you just a scan of the market, and you can go all the way back. Now, we haven't had a correction for a long time, but when we start getting corrections, what we're going to start seeing is, the screen lighting up with this red color in here, and there's a softer green color up here. For those that are colorblind, there are two different colors there. But the point I want to make is that, in this period here, the market was getting a little bit softer. And so we started to see a few things show up that were a little bit negative. And so this can give you a tone for the market as well. And currently, we're all lit up in green, and that's no surprise because we were hitting new highs. Now, the one thing that has changed in the last week was that the NASDAQ struggled to make higher highs, and the S&P actually jumped up. So the NASDAQ set a new high on September 19th. I don't think the NASDAQ 100 did, and we could probably scroll down to see when that happened. But the point of this is just a quick look to see how bullish or bearish things are. And if you start to see, bearish MACD crossover on all the sectors, something's obviously changing. And so this is one quick way to go in and just get a feel for the market. So with that, let's go back to the homepage, to the members page. And the predefined scans is important, but there's one more thing to do before we get into all the predefined scans. And so I want to show you how to get set up to be ready to scan. And there's a bunch of good ideas there, and we're going to have some fun with this. So let's not make it too boring. We can enjoy this. So let's get into the chart lists. And what you see down here is I have a whole bunch of chart lists. And when I do scanning, I used to have these named Scan 1 and Scan 2 and whatever, but they just didn't have any remembrance. So every time you were adding more stuff, it was like, where did I put the last one? And sometimes you want to keep scans for multiple weeks. So you might scan last week for full stochastics and 2 weeks ago for full stochastics, without having to go back and change those charts and go look at them all again. You could go in and look at each one of them and see if they're actually starting to move. And so what I would recommend is, either pick some, names of albums or bands, or, this is George Lane and Greg Morris and John Murphy and Martin Pring, whatever. You can have some names, but set up some fun. I don't care if you call them Gretzky and Crosby and Lemieux and Malkin or whatever, Jerome McGinley. Put the names on these scans that you can remember which one you dropped them into. And, so this one, FS scan, this is full stochastics for Canada. Whatever you'd like. But the point is, there's no limit to having a few scanning directories. And so we need to fill these directories or fill these chart lists with scans. But the bottom line is we're not going to make them permanent. So even if you were just going to use them for this week, you could either name them this, or you could do it like I do my commodity countdown stuff. And so all of this stands for Canadian Technician Live, and each week. And so Canadian Technician Live has a video every 2 weeks. And so I just keep putting them in here. Now, I don't know how many of these scans you want to keep, but they should be temporary places. And then when you finally get past all of these temporary spots, you're putting them into permanent either watch lists or actual trade lists or closed scans. So the idea being, you be flexible with this. This is not a limiting feature. This is one of those features that gives you so much room to move. And so let me just go down to the chart lists here. So the point would be that, get yourself some scan lists set up so that you can just go dump stuff in here. And maybe it's 15, maybe it's 20, maybe it's 5. There's a number for you, but put some names on them that are fun or interesting, and, the GOAT trade, greatest of all time. So that kind of stuff, whatever you want to do, but put them in a place that you want to go see them and that you're having fun with it and enjoy the moment. Just creating these simple scans to make some money. So anyway, that's the goal of the business, and so that's what we're going to work on. The third component is that on the homepage, there's also an area for a scan center. So if you're an active scanner like I am, you want to have these scan centers show all the time. And so if you scroll down on your member page and you're not seeing those, what you need to do is go to the gearbox over here and make sure that the scan center and alert center is turned on. And that will give you that row all the way across with the scan center and alert center. And these additional data panels are these panels right here, this market movers, technical ranking, and market movers. So in this case, I've got the NASDAQ, Toronto. Up here, I've got the S&P 500. So you always get one of these, but if you'd like a few more, you can have them set up. And so the important part is by hitting that gear button, you're going to be able to go in and find all of these. And then this scan area and alert center, that's this whole panel. So it wouldn't have been here if you didn't have that checked in the gearbox. So if you'd like to have this up all the time, feel free to add it to your homepage, and this is how you would do that. Okay, so we've talked about the predefined scans before, but predefined alerts, those are just things firing off in the market, and it does it for indexes or sectors. It doesn't really get into individual stocks, which is fine. The purpose of this, obviously, if that did every time a stock went above a certain price level or whatever, it would be a mess. So the predefined alerts just help give you an idea of what's going on in the market. But we're going to get into predefined scans now, and we're going to make some, I think, some innovative ideas out of the predefined scans, and just to make sure everybody's aware how this works. So first of all, up in the top corner here, you can pick which day you want to look at these. So as an example, let's say you wanted to look at some of the candlestick technical indicators and see how they're working. You could go down to this candlestick area, but you can also pick it for 3 days ago or whatever. And so here's candlestick patterns, and you could say how many stocks had a bullish engulfing 3 days ago. Well, that's what this is going to tell you. Now, some of us are very short-term traders. Some of us want to trade, buy on Monday, sell on Thursday, Friday, got a 3-day run, made 9%, whatever. There's a whole business going on there. And candlestick patterns are obviously one of the easy ways to do that. There's also the Eldar Bar Patterns. So for everybody who's not aware, Alexander Eldar has a book called Trading for a Living. I should just go get that, Amazon.com. And trading for a living. And what you see on this book, so there was the old one and now the new one. The new one has an update with a few more ideas. And so the one thing I would say is that, you know, this book is a really interesting book. So if you have no trading style or no trading idea and you just want to get started with something that works really well, and start straight up, I would strongly recommend this book. Now, one of the things that's been really nice about Alexander Eldar was he allowed StockCharts to put his chart style right into our software. And so that makes it extremely easy for you to go grab this book and use it as a trading style. So that's just one idea for us. And so when you look at the Eldar Bar Patterns, Eldar turned red, Eldar turned blue, and Eldar turned green. This is much like the stoplight system, but he used red, blue, and green because they were all dark candles as opposed to orange, which the candle might not show up so well. So when you look at a chart, and let's just go grab this Encana chart that I've got sitting here. One of the options for candlestick styles right down at the bottom is the Eldar Impulse System. And we're just going to turn this on. So this is a weekly chart, and this probably works out great. But what you see here is a series of red, green, and blue. And so the way Alexander Eldar did it was he set it up so that if the MACD histogram was rising, okay, improving, and the 11-day, or in this case, the 11-week moving average was rising, then you would get a blue bar. Sorry, if both were rising, you'd get green. If one of the two was rising, you'd get a blue. And if neither of the two were rising, you'd get a red. And a very simple system. But his idea was you'd look at the weekly, look at the daily, and you could even look at the 60-minute on the same setup. And so you'd be using these multiple time frames. And so the weekly gave you permission to buy. So it either had to be blue or green. And then the red was like you had to close the trade for sure. But he used channels and he has a whole system set up. So the point I want to make is you're not limited to using candlesticks. You can use this simple system and you can scan for whatever, new green bars on a weekly chart. You can scan for new blue bars on a weekly chart. And just, you could limit it to sector. So you only want to trade in energy or you only want to trade in biotech or whatever. You could limit that group and look inside that group for breakouts. Or if you're a more conservative investor, maybe you want to pick banks or financials or something like that and pick for that color change to happen there. So all of that is set up in the predefined technical scans. Okay. So on here, you can just using these three patterns. And so obviously you're going to get a huge number here. So I would encourage you to at least have some sectors designated. And, if you're looking for faster moving stuff, Eldar's idea was that you would buy it as it pulls back to roughly between the 10 and the 20 day. The stock is in an uptrend and it pulls back and then it moves all the way back up to the top end of the range and you would sell. You don't even wait for it to start slowing down. Just if it hits, you're out and you take 10, 12% out of these trades all the time. His system works very, very well. And for people who have never tried a trading system, I would strongly recommend looking at Alexander Eldar as a complete method to trade this. Oh, my StockCharts alert just came in this morning. But let me stop that. So the point I want to make on here is that all of these different systems are sitting there, and if you're not aware of them, you would just drive right by. So the purpose of my of doing these webinars while I'm on the vacation is to set up some stuff that we really never talk about and make sure that you're aware that they're sitting here and that there's, money hiding in the weeds all over the place if you know where to look. And so that's what we're going to do with this. And so again, here there's all these different candlestick patterns, and if you're a technical trader that uses candlesticks all the time on your daily charts, a candlestick chart gives you the most information you can possibly find on a candle. So whereas this is just a simple high-low, it's got the open on the left, the screen candle is probably great, open on the left, the total range, and the top. The candlestick just details that more, right? It shows you the body, it shows that it was up or down. And so you can't use this Eldar color coding on a candlestick chart. But, you might like to trade candlesticks or Maribozo candles or any particular candle style. So the way you're going to do that, obviously, is you're just going to have your candlestick chart set up to the default and take that same information. Okay, and I've got both colors set to black, so we could change this to up and down colors. Let's shorten the time frame so we can see what's going on. So with candlesticks, you need a little more room to see the data. But in general, you can color code your candles, all that kind of stuff. The important thing to be aware of is that a lot of these scans are pre-written. And that's the point I want to get to, is that even if you're trading all of these candlestick patterns. So as an example, let's say you want bullish engulfing, or you want dark cloud cover, or you want this rising 3 methods. And it's like, what is that? So you're going to click on this result here, and you could either click on the left-hand side, which shows you all of the markets, or you can search by the individual exchange. So on the New York Composite, there's 3, there's 1, there's not very many. So let's hit over here. Whereas if we do filled black candles or hollow red candles, obviously the number is huge. So let's just go, and we've picked at this point 5 days ago, because up at the top, we had selected a different scan here. So we're back on September 20th, not on the day that the market's open. So the market is just open for me. It opens at 7:30 in my time zone. So when these are happening, you can go look at these. So here's the rising 3 method, and whatever, we can go grab one of these charts. And when you do that, clicking in here, we need to go look at a candlestick chart, and we need to cut down the number of days just so we can see the candlesticks. Now, again, this was September 20th. And so what we're looking for here is 3 little black pullback candles, and then it breaks out to the upside. And so, we didn't know that, but when you're running this scan for the 20th, it had the 3 little pullbacks and a follow through. Now it got a huge Maribozo and then gave them right back down. So all of these patterns are set up here and are existing. But more importantly than that is staying on that scan result. So here's our scan result. One thing that's really important is up here in this top right-hand corner, and this is a literal gold mine, is just this simple little thing. So this sets up all of the scans that you might like, and let's just say that you wanted a scooter above 75. Well, then you would just go add the scooter, and you're done. And so now it says scooter above 90. You go into this text box, and you're going to change it. And check your syntax should be right, because we've only added one thing. And then we would run that scan. And that's going to give us 2 more things. So we've got this pullback, and now it's moved up to today. And we've got Groupon has given us this little signal. So let's go look and change our candlesticks again. So we could even go to 3 months and make this really obvious. And so on here, we've got the 3 rising candles. I must have pushed a different one. But let's just go look at that scan result. So daily rising 3 methods. And then with all of these scan lingo and stuff, they're all laid out in the entire chart school. So under site search, if you just put in the word scan, you're going to get all of these different ways to go and find different scans, getting help with them, sample scans, predefined scans, and we're going to get into all of that right now. But the point I want to make is there's a lot of stuff set up here that you literally just have to turn on, as opposed to going to, oops, I should go over here, rather than rewriting everything. And that's a really important thing. So let's go back to that Groupon chart. So the scooter ranking is sitting nice and high up around 75. This is obviously in an uptrend. It's not a stock I would have picked to be in an uptrend. Let's go back and look at it just on a bigger picture, but it's been rising for a while. Now, is Scooter probably dropped off a while ago? It's now come back on, and it's either due to volume or not enough flow, not enough market cap to stay listed as a scooter stock. So with that, anyway, this is performing nicely. It's rising. And if this was the type of thing you're looking for, here's your trade setup. So the point I want to make is that a lot of this has been written. You don't have to start from ground zero and try to figure out how to make a trading system. All of these systems are set up. So in a typical scan, you have two major components, and we don't scan on 60-minute or 15-minute or whatever. It's set up for daily and weekly. And if you ever wanted to trade on a bigger time frame, so a lot of us are a lot of our customer base trades daily, but a lot of them also want to trade weekly. And if you're a money manager, you're probably not looking at a daily chart to get your clues. So what we can do on almost every scan is just change the word daily to weekly. And by doing that, you're going to be able to run these scans, okay? And that is a big, let's just check scan criteria and see if I screwed up. It's all correct. And so then we could run the scan on that basis. So the point of all of these is that you can take all of this information and just modify it slightly rather than recreating the world. And I think a lot of people have thought that the scan engine was very overwhelming. It doesn't have to be. I think the shortcut is to go find some scans that you like and add or subtract from those scans. So taking just some of the basic stuff that's sitting here in the predefined scans and using that information. Let's just go see. I've got so many tabs open that I wanted to set up here. But the important point for us is don't start from ground zero. Ground zero is a long way back, and you don't have to go there. Let's just see if I can go straight to it. So here's predefined scan results again. And the other thing to look for is, let's just say there's something you wanted to find, and you could search for whatever Goldman Sachs, and just put that in, and you could search. And it's going to tell you all of the technical indicators. So here's hollow red candles and Eldar bar turned blue. Now that's pretty sweet. That is a really nice tool. So let's go look at the hollow red candles. I actually wanted to just do that for Goldman Sachs. So let's just go get Goldman Sachs GS and turn on candlesticks again, and then go in here. 3 months is going to be great. Okay. So I have my colors altered. I'm just working here a little bit. So I think when it ran the scan, it might have been based on what day, but the point The point of the scan would be that when you get a hollow red, so what hollow red means is that it was down on the day, and I need to alter the colors here because we've got them exactly backwards. And update. Okay, so what a black candle means is that the stock closed higher than the day before, but the intraday action was black all day. Okay, and so what we had with Goldman Sachs yesterday was it closed higher than the day before, so it was a positive candle, but the problem was that it closed below yesterday's close. So it was an up day. Sorry, it was red because it closed below yesterday, but it closed higher than the open on the day, so it's a hollow candle. And yet it didn't get high enough to close. So one of the things about a black a black filled in candle is it's usually kind of bearish. So what it means is you opened higher, but then you ended up closing lower on the day than the open. So while it appears like you had a good day, it traded down for most of the day and couldn't hold the gains. And so usually that's kind of at a weak spot. So in this case, it traded lower, traded lower, traded lower. Now, candle signals are only for a couple of days. So and again, they have a percentage of use. They don't always follow through on them. But what you're looking for, or what you'd like to see as an example, is that when you get these kind of signals, you can trade off them. So if you're looking for certain things on Goldman Sachs, you could go and find the bearish or whatever. But the issue for us is that all of these signals are sitting here on this page, and all you have to do is go look for them. I think it's a really important tool to be aware of. And again, the majority of the time the market's going up. So I would encourage you to stare at the bullish technical indicators as opposed to trying to get bearish and make money on the downside. It's a lot easier to go with the flow of institutional investors who, Fidelity doesn't short anything and they got $4 trillion in management. If they're not shorting anything, you're fighting against the guys that have $4 trillion in management. That's a lot of hard work. So while there are opportunities to find stocks going down, I think a lot of times it's easier. So if you're new to the sport, or to the system of investing, then you probably want to focus on bullish outcomes, especially, we're in a rising market. The 50 days above the 200-day, every stock market around the world is above their 20-month moving average. All of that screams bullish. Now, at any given point in time, it can pull back a little bit, but normally tops are built over time, and you'd need multiple markets to start breaking down for that to really start to engage. So there's a lot of people that are worried about the Fed starting to do quantitative tightening, and that will slow things down. That may happen, but the bottom line is, the market's been going up and up and up, and we've been told about quantitative tightening for almost 6 months now. And I think the important thing to remember is, as long as things are working, you're probably going to make your results that way. So anyway, here's another quick table. So you can see on this P&F patterns, we're starting to see a reduction in the number of bullish patterns and an increase in a number of bearish patterns. So there's an idea that maybe the momentum is changing in the market. And this simple table can help us see that just by telling us what's going on. So there's 225 stocks breaking below their triple bottoms. Just a real quick glance at this screen tells us, okay, that's a little bit concerning. On our advanced decline lines, we're still net new highs are still rising. We're above, for the US market, I like to be above 80. And as long as it's above 0, you're still pretty bullish. So looking at these things, it's saying, maybe some caution is warranted, but you're not trading the whole stock market. You're trading individual stocks. And what you want to do is find the ones that are breaking out to new highs. So all of these triple top breakouts here on the NASDAQ, 67 of them, you can go look at them. And again, these patterns are sitting here. And so if you like this, you could go in and edit this scan, and you could say, whatever, daily triple top breakout. And I want to go find something that, 3 months ago had a scooter of 50 and now has a scooter of 75. And you could add that onto this scan. So the purpose of the scan engine isn't to limit you. It's to get you started, and then from there you run on. Okay. So the next component is, and I'm not going to stay with this particular scan because it's in point and figure charting, and for a lot of people they're using candlesticks or bar charts. And so let's just start with some of the stuff that a lot of people know, and then we can work back from there. Okay, let's go to technical scans, and I'm just going to go back to the members page and start from fresh. So again, the advanced scan workbench is either here or farther down the page. Let's just click through here. One of the things that a lot of people are not aware of also is that the predefined scans are all sitting right here in this box. And so, we just looked at some candlestick scans and that kind of stuff, but here's new 52-week highs. And so you can use that for a scan. All of the candlestick patterns are here in their own separate box, so you don't have to scroll through the big one. And the PNFs are over here. So looking at these components, that is just sitting there waiting for you. So if you're a PNF user, then this is going to be your box. These candlestick building blocks are one at a time, and candlestick patterns are multiple bars in a row. So you're looking for a specific thing that's happening over 2 or 3 candles to give you that. So a bullish engulfing, you can click on that, and that's a series of candles where one candle is bigger than the previous candle or whatever. You're using multiple candles. So you don't have to write all that code. It's sitting here, and all you have to do is turn it on. So bullish engulfing is true. Okay. Let's just pull back and look at a couple of other things that are sitting here. So in your stock, there's a whole bunch of things you can do, like name is, and you can add, and you could say name contains whatever energy, just to pick something, or biotech, and you could run scan, and it's going to find any stock that's got the energy in it. So if that's what you're looking for, or if you wanted to do pharma, any stock that contains pharma, and you can pick up stuff like this. So hopefully, just some of these ideas, depending on what you're trying to find, there's a lot of tools here that you can use. Country and region, for most of us, it's US, the letters US, and in Canada, you actually just write out the word. So if you pick country, it defaults to US. Whoops, what did I do there? So it defaults to US, but you can just change it to Canada, and that will work. And you can always check syntax. And by hitting that, it'll just say, I don't understand. So if I put in whatever, CDN, it won't know, I think. And so you'll be able to, country is Canadian, it doesn't understand. So you can just ask it, and it's going to tell you if you're wrong. And it's pretty good at saying what it can't find. Now, there are things that you can scan for: market cap greater than 10 billion, or price earnings ratio less than 3, or whatever you want. Put in here earnings per share. You can scan based on all of that. Now, we're not a fundamental analysis methodology. So we're not scanning for earnings per share greater than $1 or that kind of stuff. You might want to top up your fundamental analysis with technical. So this isn't going to be your fundamental website. This is going to be a place where you focus on technical action. And some people only want to trade options. So one of the things you can put in here is optionable. And optionable is true. And what that will do is only give you stock results that you could trade with options. Now, has a dividend is pretty important for for a lot of investors that are trying to keep an income stream. And this is one of the simple ways to do it. So if you're just looking to find stocks that have a dividend, then you're going to use this one. And then you can say has a dividend, and then the yield, you can pick greater than 4% or whatever. So you can use those components. And I'll do a whole bunch of stuff on dividend investing in one of these upcoming sessions. So anyway, just being aware of all of these different options are sitting here. Now there's an entire protocol, anything that you're looking for, there's a full-blown instructions manual up here. And when you click on that instructions box, it's helpful actually. There's a ton of stuff in here, and you can go through and it tells you how to write scans, members dashboard, all of these things. And as we've been updating the website, Arthur Hill's done a fabulous job of updating all of this area. But when you look through all of these different components, they're all sitting here under this information box. And so I would encourage you to go there, and it will also help you. Now, the other thing is right here at the bottom is instructions, writing scans, scan examples, and predefined scans. Again, sitting right here. Now, predefined scans, you can grab them from here, or you could go there and use them. You could find them the way we found them before. The point is we're trying to use multiple methods to help you find the stuff that works. Okay, second thing is, let's say that you only want to trade the NASDAQ 100 because it's the fastest market, or you only want to trade the Dow stocks because they're the most stable or common stocks around. Whatever you want. Toronto Stock Exchange, only the top 300. Don't bother me with all of the other ones. Just focus on that. Or here's the biotech index. Anything that you'd like to look at, gold miners. These are all sitting here so that you can just specifically look right in on those. Okay, now the other thing we have is chart lists, and I have a lot of chart lists, but every single chart list I have is in this space. And so, I have a chart list for all of these scans that we're going to dump stuff to. But let's just scroll down here. One of the things that I found over time was that I was getting to the point that, I would call something nat gas stocks and oil stocks and solar stocks and all these different ones, but they weren't sorting for me. And so what I've done to improve my sort is I have laid out the number and then put a dash and an A for agriculture. And so that way, when I'm going to save a new sector, so let's say, semiconductors, just to pick one, I'm going to use 6010-S for semiconductors dash, and then write out the word semiconductors. It would automatically put it down here in under S. And so that way I never have to check to find out what number I need to put it in to keep it within the rest of my stock lists. And so the purpose of all of these, so if you wanted to focus on forestry stocks only, or you wanted to focus on integrated oils because energy made it to $51 or oil made it to $51, then you're going to take this and go in and look specifically at those types of stocks. Now you can put whatever list you want together, oil services list or an oil exploration list or a natural gas stock. And it doesn't have to be a drop down. You could use the drop down to try and find whatever sectors are available and make your own list and then prune from that. So when I'm looking for oil and gas stocks to trade, I'm going into my oil and gas exploration list, either the US or Canada, and I'm looking through those stocks to see what's going on. Now there's oil patch suppliers. I have one for steel stocks that are oil patch suppliers. So if I think pipe is going to take off, or if I think trucking's going to take off, whatever it is that I want to focus on, I can do that. And so you can use transportation stocks, internet stocks, lithium, any particular list. So I think by being aware of how you can break the market down into different components and And a few years ago, rare earth metals were all the rage. And so owning all of the rare earth metal stocks, or being aware of which ones were the rare earth metal stocks, is helpful. Now, you don't have to throw that list away. You can save it as a list, and they might go out of favor, just like biotechs went out of favor for a while. And when they come back in, you've got your list set up, and over years and years and years, you're going to build up indexes that you like, or lists of stocks that you like, that you can work from. So trying to keep all of those together, I think, is pretty important. Now, the most important thing that we can do as traders is to keep it simple. And I've seen some huge scans where people are looking for 10 and 20 and 30 things, and that's going to give me the perfect stock. More than likely, it's probably going to eliminate the perfect stock. And the one that was the perfect one last time, because it had these certain features, it's probably not going to hit. So the world of technical analysis has been studied a lot. And I would strongly encourage you to pick up a few things. And rather than making the world's most detailed scan with 20 or 30 layers, try to pick, one or two or three things that are really going to work for you. So much like these predefined scans, new 52-week high, we're going to use some of these tools in the next session to actually go through, modify them, and change some of these predefined scans. And so we're going to get into that next. But the biggest thing to be aware of is that the technical analysis engine is sitting here to automate looking for these great setups. So you don't have to do it manually. And if you want to trade 3-month highs, 6-month highs, 52-week highs, 52-week lows, whatever your sport is, you're going to take all of these components. Now, there's one more thing to look at, and that is that you can divide things out by sector and industry and just go get them and make a chart list with them if you wanted to. So I've made chart lists, so that would have been this area over here. But in this one, you could go through, and let's say you don't have a chart list made yet, you could go grab something. So let's say you think broadline retailers are going to be all the rage between October and December, and the 100 days leading up to Christmas, they're finally going to bounce and you're going to have a great trade. Okay, so you could pick these retailers to scan on, and you're going to add it in. And it's always going to put it at the bottom. The one thing that whenever you run a scan, the first thing in the scan can't have the word "and" in front of it. It has to start with the square bracket saying, which is a condition, and it has to start with one of those. Everything else after that has to have the word "and," except the final thing, and that is rank by. And what rank by does is, if you wanted to sort by yield, so as an example, you were looking for dividend stocks and you wanted to find the ones with the highest yield, then you would use this rank by command. Rank by is the only thing that doesn't use the "and" word at the front of it, and it has to be the last thing in the scan criteria. So knowing that rank by has to be last, the second component of this is you don't want to go find the whole world, check it to see if it has a yield, and then see what yield it is, and then go back and say, oh, I only wanted broadline retailers. What you want to do is sort it from, you want to help the computer sort the groups as fast as possible so your scans run quickly. And, in this case, we're looking for group as broadline retailers, and you could either put it right at the top here, but this is going to filter out ETFs and mutual funds and everything else and get rid of that information. It's got a volume criteria. Maybe you want a higher one, so you're just going to add that. But the next thing is broadline retailers. Well, if you put this first, it's only going to find the 50 stocks and then work the rest of the scan on that. So at the top, we can put this in up here like that. And by just moving it around, we've really made this scan more efficient. So we want broadline retailers, type is stock, and it's now going to ignore everything in the energy sector and everything else. So your scan's going to run lickety split. If you say, stocks above an Ichimoku cloud or something like that, to start with, it has to go search the entire world, make an Ichimoku cloud for each one, and then check the relative price to that Ichimoku cloud. With all of that, it'll take 20 seconds to run that scan instead of 0.2 seconds. And we have very fast computing power. So just make sure that your scan is working top to bottom so it gets more efficient. So you want to search for broadline retailers, or you want to search for exploration and production stocks. Then you want to search for scooters above 75. Then you want to search for MACD turning up, or full stochastics, or Eldar signal is green, or anything like that. But try and narrow your group size, and that will help your scans run a lot. And again, the last thing you can do is you can rank by, and in this case we've said yield, but you could rank by SCTR, scooter ranking, and by searching on that, what it's going to do is, we could just check our syntax here. Everything is correct. So we run our scan. It's always going to open a new tab. And let's just see. Group is broadline retailers. Type is stock. Yep, that's what we asked for. So there's 15 here. And now the scooters are in order. And we've asked it to rank by something. And so in this case, whatever is in the final column is what we've ranked it by. So in this case, it's ranked by the scooter ranking. Out of all of the results, one of the quick things that you can do is the scooter ranking tells you, first of all, how well a stock is performing compared to its peers. So in the case of Alibaba, it's compared to the large cap stocks. In the case of Oli's Bargain Outlet Holdings, it's small cap stocks. Depending on the type of trading you like to do you like really volatile small caps or really stable large caps, then you're probably going to be selecting which group you want to do that with. So try and figure that out ahead of time as to what you want to look at. And, here's Amazon, and its scooter ranking is 38. Here's Alibaba at 96. The two are pretty big companies, but the bottom line is, behaving totally different right now. So if we go look at an Amazon stock, it's near 5-month lows. If we go look at Alibaba, scan results. How did I lose that? If we go look at Alibaba, what we're going to see is it hasn't started breaking down yet at all. It's still very firm. So the scooter ranking can just help point you to strong stocks quickly. Now, maybe you're trading stuff that's pulled back, so you want a scooter ranking that's a little bit weaker. Full stochastics, you're trading Keltner channels, whatever it is. The table is important, but one of the things I want to make everybody aware of is this daily scooter column, if it's yield or whatever, disappears. Now, the scooter column is something that always shows up, but you could rank by RSI over here and that kind of thing. When you put it into the chart list, it's going to lose that piece of information. So what I like to do, and I'll just show you how I do this, and then we'll end this lesson for today. So if I want to replace an existing chart list with these results, and I'm going to put them into the dire straits category, because that's where our good friends in the broadline retailers have been for most of the year. It puts it in here. Now, when you look, we've lost the information that was on the right-hand side. So one of the things that I like to do is go back and cancel. And now I've got this list. So let's say it was RSI over here instead. I can still look at this list, but now I'm just going to go open another. I'm going to jump into that chart list, and I think we picked the dire straits one. So I'm going to scroll down to dire straits and grab that chart list, and we're going to put, we can look through these stocks, but now if it had been yield or RSI or whatever, I still have it showing on this tab here, but yet when I go look at my summary view for this stock list, okay, so the information isn't here, But by just hitting back right after I've saved it, it's still sitting on this page. And that's especially important when you're looking at dividend yield, and we're going to get into that. Okay, so this whole first presentation was all about getting set up for scanning and the things to be aware of and how to use some of the existing resources that are there. Then the next one I want to do, we're going to actually get into writing scan code, using scan code to generate what we want, how to debug it, and make sure it's showing what we want. So with that, I'll shut this one down. Thanks for taking the time to join me, and hopefully you found the information interesting. If I can help you in any way, if you could send the emails to gregs@stockcharts.com. So thank you for listening in, and hopefully there's some good information for you there, and have a good week.